This is the 2012 Prius C. This is the smallest member of the Prius family. Let's take it for a spin. So essentially what Toyota's done to create the Prius C is they've taken a four-door hatchback Yaris, they've stripped out the suspension, the engine and transmission, they stuffed in the suspension modified from a regular Prius, and then they took the engine from the former generation Prius, the 1.5 liter Atkinson cycle 73 horsepower engine, and stuffed that under the hood. And then they took the transmission and hybrid synergy drive power splitting devices out of the regular Prius, and they modified them with to make the footprint smaller to fit under the hood of the Prius C. The combination is good for 99 horsepower, but it also is good for being 500 pounds less than the curb weight of the regular Prius. So out on the road, the Prius C handles exactly like what you'd expect out of a cross between a Prius and a Yaris. That is to say, the handling is not bad for a small car, but it's not really a Mazda 3, but then again, it's not really trying to be either. What it is trying to be is extraordinarily economical, and we've been averaging 54 miles per gallon, and that's over about 120 miles of San Diego, both city driving, highway driving, and freeway driving. And as you can see, if you look out in the distance, we have been going up and down hills in our Prius C, and it hasn't really affected the fuel economy as much as I would have thought. On the inside, the materials used to make the Prius C are fairly similar to the Prius. We have, fairly hard dash parts, keeping weight down basically, but we do have soft touch points in the armrests, both on the doors and the center armrest here. The quality of the hard plastics does seem to be better than you'd find in a Chrysler, for instance, but again, pricing is a definite factor here. The Prius C starts at just under $20,000, and of course in Toyota speak that really means $19,900 something dollars, plus of course your destination charges, so you really are right around $20,000. The unusual thing with the Prius C is that Toyota has not really increased the pricing for the various flavors a great deal from the base price. So there is no $30,000 Prius C. The most expensive Prius C is about $23,000. And for $23,000 you get the fake leather, you get some upgraded plastic here on the dash, you get upgraded wheels, and you get the option of an optional 17-inch wheel with lower profile rubber, supposedly yielding sportier handling. We couldn't really tell the difference on our short time with both this and the higher level Prius with those bigger wheels. The one thing I did notice is the ride's worse, so I would just stick with the base wheels. But overall $19,000 for a car that gets 54 miles per gallon really is not a bad deal. So since our Prius C is the Prius C version 3, it is equipped with the Entune system. Both the Prius C3 and Prius C4 get this one. The 3 starts at $21,635 and the 4 is $23,230. Essentially this is a touchscreen radio with iPod interface, and it also has the ability to install Entune apps. So you can do traffic, fuel prices, Bing searches, Pandora, stock quotes, sports, and of course map-based navigation. Unlike some systems, like the Pioneer iPhone connected system, this mapping system is actually part of the radio. So this is not using your data service for the navigation, so you don't have to have a phone connected for that. It is flash-based. It's fairly zippy as far as responsiveness is concerned, but it is kind of basic. The graphics are a little basic. The points of interest is not very detailed, and the screen is not terribly high resolution, but then again, it is a fairly cheap car. Taking a look around the interior, the majority of this should be familiar to a regular Prius buyer. Everything is in a very similar place, from the radio to the climate control settings here, to this center-mounted gauge cluster. And of course the steering wheel borrowed from the regular Prius, which has the voice control here, Again, only available with the upgraded radio on the Prius 3 and 4. Bluetooth, which is standard on all models of the Prius C. We have radio controls over here, and we have our display controls over here. And these controls control the display in the center-mounted gauge cluster here, which now contains a nice high-resolution screen. This was one thing I really didn't like about the regular Prius, is its screen is, you know, fairly low rent. This one actually is fairly nice. Has drive information. You can score yourself on your driving. It'll give you a score out of 100, tell you how ecologically you're driving. You can see your Toyota typical consumption in 5-minute increments. Something kind of interesting but a little hokey is you can program in the cost of fuel in a car to compare your Prius C, and you can feel very green about yourself by showing how much money you're saving versus a regular car. You can get, you know, historical data for that same screen, essentially. You can score yourself, sort of like, you know, miles per gallon Olympics for your Prius C. Settings, and then we go back to our usual energy monitor screen. If we zoom back out here, you'll notice the speedometer display is fairly basic, just sort of gear, speed, and fuel level. That's all that really does. If we go down here to the radio, on the car tab, you can get your sort of requisite hybrid energy monitor as well as trip information. So that's pretty much it from the interior of the 2012 Prius C. Stay tuned for a full review when the production model bows and we're able to get our hands on one. And always check out thetruthaboutcars.com for news, reviews, and more.